Okay, let's start smoothly. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today here in the new Advanced Material Partnership webinar that we are organizing together with the Advanced Material Association. So we will start now with an institutional welcome from Silvia Oger, Director of the European Projects Office of the Government of Navarra. Silvia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Angela. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. First, I would like to introduce myself for those of you who don't know us. I am, as Angela said, the director of the European Projects Office in the Government of Navarra, which belongs to the General Directorate of External Action. This office was created in 2021, which was a very special year for us. First, because we started our activity, and then because we approved the first external action plan of the government, which ran from 2021 to 2024. So now we are currently implementing the second plan that will run from 2025 to 2028. And this plan, and the same as the previous one, is based on three key main areas, which are Navarra in Europe, cross-border Navarra, and global Navarra. So in this context, we, as the European Projects Office, are in charge of leading the implementation of this first area called Navarra in Europe. And for that, we have also the cooperation of our delegation in Brussels that belongs also to our same general directorate, and where Angela is placed physically, actually. This area, Navarra in Europe, comprises a range of activities aimed at achieving two main objectives. The first one is to strengthen the presence of Navarra in Europe, both at institutional level and also regarding the participation in European projects. And the second big objective is to increase the knowledge of Europe, its policies, its funding instruments amongst the socioeconomic and innovation stakeholders of Navarra. And this is here where this webinar of today takes place with this objective. And we are here to tell you about this new partnership that I hope will be of interest to all of you. I don't want to talk anymore because the interesting part comes now. So I give the floor back to Angela. Thank you. You are muted, Angela.
Yes, now, sorry. I was saying that thank you so much, Silvia, for your words. And for those who may not be familiar with us, with what is ADITEC, let me start briefly introducing what is ADITEC. ADITEC is the coordinator of the research and innovation ecosystem of Navarra. Our role basically is coordinating all the agents and fostering the relationship between science, technology, business, and society in Navarra. We transfer the knowledge generated by designated research agents to the industry, helping to bridge the gap between science and industrial application. And on the other hand, we work closely with the local companies from our region and the research agents to ensure that their science and technological efforts are fully aligned with the European trends and priorities. Moreover, in my case, as Silvia was saying, I lead our international department, bringing Navarra closer to Europe and Europe closer to Navarra. I'm based in Brussels, as Silvia was already mentioning, trying to ensure that our regional interests are reflected in the topics of the European goals of Horizon Europe. And our agents, let's say, and our companies get more European funds doing it, I mean that getting more involved in European consortiums, or vice versa. Sometimes they contact us to get partners from Europe for their own proposals. So all of this is part of the Horizonte Redes initiative. Some of you might know already the initiative. That is a strategic program promoted by the external action of the Government of Navarra to strengthen the internationalization of our innovation ecosystem that Silvia already mentioned. So why we are here today? As a part of the 5th Europe Week, led by the external action of the Government of Navarra, Aditec has partnered with the Innovative Advanced Materials Initiative to organize this webinar, because this partnership was launched last year, so Eva will talk more about it later on. Our goal is to offer you a clear and focused overview of the current and upcoming opportunities in advanced materials, from funding calls to strategic priorities, and to provide an overview of where Navarra is currently positioned in this field. So now, let me briefly walk through today's agenda. We have started already with an institutional welcome from Silvia Oger, Director of the European Projects Office of the Government of Navarra, followed by a presentation that I will introduce you now to Eva. Oh my goodness, Eva, I'm really sorry again. I'm trying to pronounce your surname. Later on you can pronounce it correctly, but it's Eva Schiline, more or less. I tried. The Secretary General of the Advanced Material Initiative, who will introduce the initiative itself and the partnership with the European Commission. She will introduce as well the benefits of this initiative, the three priorities and their main activities. And as I said, the IAM-I partnership calls from 2026 and 2027, and discuss what is coming next on the upcoming FP10 from 2028 to 2035 framework program. Afterwards, Susana Baraswain, Managing Director of Functional Print Cluster, will share insight on this strategic cluster. And at the end, we will open the floor to questions and answers, and we will close the session. So we have designed this session to be practical and to the point, so you can learn what is happening in this new European partnership, to get a clear understanding on what is happening in this field and how you can get involved in this kind of calls. Before we start, practical things. You have the questions and answer tool on the top of the screen. Please use it during the entire hour. We will get to your questions at the end of the session. Any questions to Silvia, to Susana, or to Eva, or even to Aditec, to us, to me, please do not hesitate to write any question to any of the panelists there, and we will get to them at the end of the session. This webinar will be recorded and disseminated through our social media afterwards for those who would like to watch it again. So now let's get into the proper content. Let me introduce you, Eva. Thank you, Eva, for being here. We had a meeting and we met each other like 2 months ago. We proposed this webinar to her and she was really open to participate in this webinar, to introduce the new partnership to our Navarra stakeholders who are interested in this field. So thank you again, Eva, for being here with us. And now the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the kind invitation on the one hand side, of course, to Angela also for the preparation, but especially also to the government of Navarra for deeming this an interesting initiative. So as Angela already pointed out, my name is unfortunately very unmistakably German, Eva Schillinger, and I am the Secretary General of the Innovative Advanced Materials Initiative, which is the association behind a rather young public-private European partnership for advanced materials. So maybe one or two words about where we started, although I also will show you a bit about the time later on. So basically this memorandum of understanding for this partnership between the association IAM-I and the European Commission was signed in last spring. So we're a tiny bit more than a year old as a partnership. The association itself had its first General Assembly in January 2025. Now, for all those of you who are familiar, of course, with public-private partnerships for funding under Horizon Europe, you know this picture. For those of you who do not know it, just a couple of explanations. There are different kinds of public-private partnerships for funding that are aiming at establishing collaborative research. What does that mean? That means that in these public-private partnerships, the private side is represented by normally associations, networks that consist of members from academia, so universities, research technology organizations, but also industry. And as many of you may know, of course, the calls for topics to be funded under Horizon Europe Pillar 2, these are all about collaborative research. So this is not exclusively academic research. This is not exclusively startup or industrial research. The startup research would be under Pillar 3, which is the EIC. The exclusively academic research is under Pillar 1, which is the European Research Council, the ERC. But Pillar 2 is really where everything meets. So Pillar 2 topics classically would cover technology readiness levels between 3 and roughly 7, so TRL 3 to 7. And you can see there's different kinds of partnerships under this Pillar 2. In Cluster 4, where we are located, these are the topics around digital industry and space. You have, for example, the institutionalized partnerships, such as many of you may know, the CHIPS joint undertaking, the European Metrology Partnership, but you also have a number of so-called co-programmed partnerships, which are not institutionalized, but this is the kind of partnership that also the Advanced Materials one actually falls under. So here you have partnerships that you also may know, like ADRA, AI Data Robotics. You have Made in Europe, for example, Processes for Planet, and a handful of new ones, amongst those us as the Innovative Advanced Materials for the European Union Partnership. As said, we started last year, and this means for the last 3 years of the Framework Program 9, the current Horizon Europe, a budget of roughly 250 million euro has been earmarked by the European Commission to be spent on this partnership. You will read every now and then that this partnership has a value or a volume of 500 million euro. That is simply due to the fact that normally basically the 250 million euro that are spent by the European Commission, by the European Union, are expected to be met at least one-to-one by in-kind contributions by the public side. So meaning when you, for example, engage in these projects, if you are granted such a project, then of course, especially when you're industry, it is expected that you will bring certain in-kind contributions, such as, for example, additional resource power or the provision of facilities that you're using on top to the project. In terms of the priorities, the current priorities in our current strategic research and innovation agenda that also informed the calls for the work program 25, 26, and 27. You see here that we had built the current strategic research and innovation agenda on 3 specific goals. On the one hand side, as one pillar, we saw the advanced materials themselves and their associated technologies. But we also did see, of course, cross-enabling tools and methodologies, and as a third pillar, ecosystem enablers and synergies. Why? This is a rather holistic approach that this partnership takes because it goes back to a first document that was published in 2022, the so-called Materials Manifesto. In the Materials Manifesto, you will see, you can find it online, you will see that there is a mix of signatories from industry, from academia that signed this document. And this document in principle stated that we have an excellent research base in Europe. And I think this is absolutely clear within the field of advanced materials. What we are, however, lacking is sort of this entire pipeline that brings really advanced materials from invention in the lab to innovation, which is defined as a final viable, economically viable product on the market. So Europe needs to defragment its advanced materials landscape, and Europe needs to accelerate. Those were the main messages out of the manifesto. And the manifesto then led to actually the preparation work to establish this kind of a partnership then last year, and also the association behind. This is why you will see a focus not only on the advanced materials themselves, but also very much on the cross-enabling tools and methodologies and the ecosystem enablers and synergies. Let me walk you through some of the priorities that we identified when we wrote the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda together with more than 400 stakeholders from the ecosystem. So I'm going to start with the enabling tools and methodologies. Of course, here we have approaches that are essential to accelerate advanced materials innovation. Clearly, we have everything, all of the priorities that cover data infrastructures, predictions based on data, test methods based on data, the use of artificial intelligence as much as the use of predictive models. We also have this very much in connection under the approaches with the SSBD approach. Many of you may know the Safe and Sustainable by Design framework, which has been published by the European Commission in late 2022, and then again now has been refined in several iteration circles. So this is an approach that the European Commission suggests to think basically safety and sustainability of new chemicals and materials that are being developed already in the innovation process. For us, the main parts out of this framework are the approaches and the idea that you really should include as early as possible the thinking of the entire life cycle of a new chemical or material to be developed. Now, the second part, you see the ecosystem enablers and synergies. I think this is clear. When we think ecosystem of advanced materials, we need to think education and skills. We need to think how can we make money with these new materials, so the new business models. We need to think technology infrastructures, open innovation testbeds, material acceleration platforms, and very important if we think about the entire ecosystem and about the entire also value chain from research to industrial deployment, we have to think about standards and norms for especially new and emerging materials, but also for all kinds of other aspects of advanced materials. If you look at the advanced materials themselves, then there are examples of application topics such as critical raw material free approaches to advanced materials. There are examples such as advanced materials for surfaces and interfaces, and all of us, we know that of course this plays a huge role for the advanced materials and for the applications in the end. We have advanced materials for lightweighting, we do have advanced materials for electronics, we do have advanced materials that are based on the design of, for example, of recyclable polymers. There again, we go into the circularity topic. And another priority that was identified for this current strategic research and innovation agenda at the time were perfluorinated substances alternatives, so PFAS alternatives, because of course, we are all aware that PFAS actually at this current point in time is something that is being used in advanced materials or in components and systems that are based on advanced materials. So these are the current priorities. And I will come back to the calls that are based also on the current priorities a bit later in the presentation. Now, talking a bit about the association, so the behind the partnership, so the association that presents the private stakeholders. As already sort of pointed out in the relation to the Advanced Materials Manifesto, there are two main objectives for this association. We want to make sure that we see an acceleration of the advanced materials innovation and uptake. That means that we have to create a coherent ecosystem And that will then enable, in the end, to catalyze the faster development, scaling, and the market adoption of advanced materials. Now, the ecosystem, of course, is not the only thing. There are also tools, approaches, other measures that need to be taken, but the ecosystem is the basis of all. And I will also share with you an overview of our members in a minute, and I hope that you will be able to see how we really manage at a European level to overarchingly, within the field of advanced materials, bring together the ecosystem. The second big key objective for the association is to really think across value chains and across sectors. We do not focus on one single application. We do not focus on one single sector. Why? Because all of us here that are familiar with advanced materials do understand that advanced materials are the backbone of any kind of system that needs to perform. So you will need certain properties and performances across different sectors, across different industrial value chains. And instead of really inventing and reinventing these applications or these properties for these applications in silos, we're saying, okay, we want to really look across the sectors, we want to look across value chains, and we're looking at the common motives, at the common principles that advanced materials need to have and need to show in order for them to perform. The second part here is the circularity. And the circularity for sure comes from a sustainability aspect, but not only that. I think all of us who are a bit actively following the news, we do understand that we currently live in geopolitically quite vulnerable times, and that especially also economics and industrial success, if you so wish, industrial prosperity very much also depends on the availability of certain raw materials, especially also certain critical raw materials. So when we think circularity, we at the same time also always think the topic of sovereignty and of independence of Europe from external supply chains. Okay. Now, I promised you a bit of an overview over our members. This is one of the slides. The other one is a bit more statistics, but I will share with you the statistics while you look at this very colorful slide. It's not the idea that you really identify each and every single member on there, but hopefully there will be a couple of logos that are jumping at you. We managed in the first year of the association to grow the membership from 262 members to by far more than 300 members at the beginning of the year. And I can tell you, we still continue to grow. So overall, we have seen a growth of roughly 20% during the first year of existence. We actually do see members from 31 countries, and I already shared it also with Angela and Silvia and Susanna in the preparation here that we had today. Actually, the Spanish community as a whole is our strongest community, and we're very happy to see such strong engagement and activity in advanced materials out of Spain. And also this just goes to show the great expertise, of course, also that you have. In terms of countries that are represented, most of the EU 27, actually, we do have members from most of the EU 27, but we go beyond. Because as you may know, of course, there are constant discussions ongoing with countries that will then be associated countries to Horizon Europe that want to join Horizon Europe as a research and innovation funding framework program. So I can tell you that we actually do have members from Canada, we do have members from South Korea, we do have members from New Zealand, and then of course we also do have members from the already a bit more established associated countries such as Switzerland and the UK, Turkey, for example, etc., etc., etc. But I think this also goes to show that the importance of advanced materials is absolutely clear, not only at a European level, but also at an overall global level. And if you look at activities that, for example, the US and China right now are carrying out in the field, it has been clearly understood that advanced materials are key drivers of other technologies and are essential to industrial value chains. Coming to the industrial value chains, which I also had sort of already explained a bit before, that we want to take this approach along the entire value chain and across different value chains. If you look at our industry members, I think it pretty much very, very soon becomes obvious that we achieved exactly that so far with our membership. So you will see, for example, very much upstream at industrial value chains, we do have a number of members from chemical industry, such as Evonik, Science Quo, BASF at the very beginning. Then we go a bit further downstream. Many of these chemical companies are forward integrated a bit and also manufacture advanced materials. But we also have pure advanced materials manufacturers, just to name a couple of the more well-known names, such as, for example, Umicore with us. Then again, if you go into sort of the mid-segment of the value chain and use the names that are maybe a bit more well-known, for example, for component manufacturers that focus a lot on automotive, we do have the French Valeo with us, but we also do have Schaeffler as component manufacturers that deliver in a number of different advanced materials and full system integrators in the end. And in terms of the full system integrators, you will see the names here from different sectors: Airbus, Philips, Toyota, Rolls-Royce. So we really do have a situation in which we can cover the overall advanced materials industrial value chain and also across the different disciplines. I can tell you that also our board is composed across different value chains. And when we discuss at the board level, we do not discuss with a focus on individual applications, but we do discuss advanced materials as a whole and their strategic nature for the prosperity of the European economy, basically. Now, the other research or the other member categories are research members. Here you see that we have really many larger but also mid-size and small RTOs with us, a number of universities. I think the universities also were very interested in us last year, and we also do have associate members with us. So, for example, here we have associations or networks and platforms that represent areas, but also certain associations that are more targeting, for example, certain materials classes or raw materials classes. So it's really a mix over everything and trying to bring together this overall ecosystem. As to our main activities, we are co-implementing and co-leading the European partnership. I think that is absolutely clear, but we see ourselves as more than just carrying this partnership. We really want to be this hub, this sort of home, if you so wish, at the European level for the overall advanced materials community. We are very much also interested in providing good support and good visibility to startups and scale-ups. So on the 22nd of May, the announcement just went out yesterday, we will start our startup pitching series. And here, of course, we will give a certain number of spots to startups that already are IAM-I members, but every single time in this monthly pitching series, we will also have one spot that is reserved for non-IAM-I members. So we really are going to start up and ramp up these activities this year. On the other hand side, I already showed you a bit the strategic research and innovation agenda. That is the current one. We are currently with the working groups and task forces working on drafting the new European strategic research and innovation agenda for the next framework program. And I will give you a bit of an overview over what the topics in there will be later in this presentation today. We are quite active also in advocating for our advanced materials community research and innovation needs. You may know that there is an Advanced Materials Act by the European Commission that is planned to be adopted and published in Q4 of this year. And I can tell you a bit more about that also in a minute. So basically, everything that has to do with research and innovation, policies, funding, financing, with the new multi-annual financial framework, the new budget coming up, this is also very essential. We also do that from an angle of the advanced materials. So that, of course, also is very much connected to that we look at education and training needs together with the Advanced Materials Academy, and we showcase the achievements and good examples out of advanced materials research and innovation. Why should you become a member? I think when I just explained to you a bit of our activities, it's rather clear what we are providing, what we're trying to provide, how we have grown, that the interest of the community really also is large. So you can connect with a huge community across not only European countries, but going beyond. The community consists of both industry leaders, but also, of course, researchers. Via the partnership, we are in direct contact with policymakers. We talk about policies, funding priorities, the future frameworks. Those are all of the strategic angles that Angela also very much sort of was hinting at. Of course, for our members, we also offer the opportunity to matchmake, to get to know each other, to build consortia for Horizon Europe calls and future Horizon Europe calls. Of course, these calls and future calls are being co-developed by the partnership or within the partnership between our members and the European Commission. So you have a certain privilege of already knowing in advance which topics will be coming up. There is a certain opportunity, of course, also to shape these topics. And all of this should give you a very, very good starting point to position your organization within this overall European advanced materials ecosystem. Of course, everybody is welcome to join as long as you have R&D activities within the field of advanced materials. Of course, we are especially looking at industrial companies because, as explained previously, this is the core of Pillar 2, to have the collaborative research. So it's on the one hand side, industrial companies, and here we are looking at advanced materials producers, processors, full system integrators, and recyclers. So the entire value chain that I just explained to you. But of course, we also do know that a lot of expertise, the true expertise, especially at the lower tier L levels, is located in research and technology organizations such as the institutes, but also the universities. And to really also build the ecosystem here, we're looking at the regions, the clusters, and the national and regional ecosystem platforms that we have. So we really can connect the strengths all over Europe. How do we do the work? Where do we do the work? We do have 7 working groups and 4 task forces. All of this was launched last fall after a bit of a preparation. We decided that in terms of the topics that the working groups will focus on, we will go together with the 4 initial focus areas that the European Commission had identified in its strategy, the communication on advanced materials for industrial leadership that was published in 2024. And here the first 4 focus areas were construction, electronics, energy, and mobility. We also decided to add a working group on advanced materials in medical and health applications, because we do know that in the Technology Council for Advanced Materials, which is one of the building blocks out of the strategy of the Commission, together with us as a partnership and the Advanced Materials Academy. In this Technology Council, the topic of health and medical applications for advanced materials was one that was very discussed with a very high focus. So we decided we will add this working group. And we do have 2 working groups that actually also provide us with the technical content on these overarching approaches. So here we do see the working group on AI, materials digitalization and data, but also the working group on resilient and circular value chains. So most of the SSBD topics are, of course, being dealt with in working group 2, but in very close collaboration with working group 1, because all of us know that whatever we do around the modeling, the safety, the sustainability predictions, all of this is based on data and exchanges between the disciplines. In terms of the task forces are focusing more, I should say, maybe on the ecosystem building aspects, so not so much on the deep technical aspects of different applications or different sectors. But here we do have the task force on education and workforce, where we work very closely with the Advanced Materials Academy. We do have a task force on standards and norms, where we work with the OECD, the CEN, and all kinds of other standardization and norming bodies. We do have a task force that is looking very much on the infrastructures, so the research technology infrastructures, support to SME and upscaling. And the last task force, currently also one that is rather busy, is dealing with policies, fundings, and strategies beyond the current Horizon Europe, I have to say, because of course, many of you know that also FP10 will be called Horizon Europe. So this one is also a rather busy task force right now. And you may have seen that we also had a recent webinar with the task force lead of Task Force 4, Igor Idareta, in which he actually explains the background of what will be coming up and what will be leading up to the next budget of of 2028 to 2034. Okay, our milestones so far. I think we have been rather active throughout our first year. So you can see we already have had two General Assemblies last year. We had our third General Assembly just a couple of weeks ago in Lund, and I can tell you it's really nice to see the community coming together. We had more than 100 people registered for in-person attendance, and then and another more than 200 members actually signed up for online participation. As it is the case normally with these partnerships, you also in regular intervals, you have official partnership board meetings between the association and the European Commission. We established our working groups and task forces, and we also started another topic that you will see here in November. We started actually together with stakeholders at the national and regional level to establish national advanced materials events. Now, we did have the first one in November. The second one, actually, which is not on here, took place on April 14th in Sweden. So the Swedish community right now is looking at building an advanced materials hub they call it IAM for Sweden. So very nice that you also have the same name branding across it. And we also are planning and going forward to have more national events, for example, in Austria, but also Denmark, Spain, Germany, etc., etc. So all of this will be coming up. And on top of that, looking at the fact that the Advanced Materials Act is supposed to come out Q4 2026, we also published a position paper from the IAM-I point of view, what the community needs from this Advanced Materials Act. I invite you to go to our homepage and to look it up under the news section. So, we implemented a fully functional association in 2025. We grew the membership. I already told you that. The membership portfolio, I think I could give you this nice overview that we really have a varied and cross-sectoral membership portfolio that puts us in a very good position to really be the place to be for this cooperative kind of research and to also build very good research consortia when replying to the calls under Horizon Europe. We were active within our advocacy. We published a position on the Advanced Materials Act, and not only that, but also via our interaction with, member states, and at the member states level, at the state level of the regions, like here today, we achieved, for example, a rather prominent placement of the advanced materials as drivers of other key technologies in the German Federal Ministry of Research, Technology and Space position that they published on the FP10. Many discussions are going on right now, and in the end, it will be really crucial to connect the systems between the European, the national, and the regional level to make sure that we get the right priorities in the FP10 and in the next MFF. What we are targeting for 2026, and of course also this sets the scene for what's going on beyond. We continue, of course, to interact with the European Commission and to represent the interest of our overall ecosystem with respect to the Advanced Materials Act. Very important, of course, the funding and financing of advanced materials R&I, as Angela also already pointed out, 28 to 34. This is absolutely crucial right now. So you do know probably, or you have heard maybe, that there will be a standalone framework program that will follow the current framework program. So FP10 will also be a standalone program. However, there's many discussions that are underway right now what exactly this framework program would look like. Up until now, we know that there will be 4 pillars. So more or less the pillars that we also see now, pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3. There will be a fourth pillar that will be added, which is stressing the importance of technology and research infrastructures. And what is absolutely new is as an instrument that is called the European Competitiveness Fund. This European Competitiveness Fund unites 14 already existing funding instruments, but it also offers the option to shape further instruments, of course. And here, this European Competitiveness Fund is going to focus especially on deployment, especially on scale up, and especially on higher TRL levels to really make that continuous storyline from basic research to actual deployment and products on the market. So here's something that we're, of course, looking at, that we're advocating a lot for. We would like to see a funding partnership, IAM for EU 2.0 under FP10, that is, I would say, budget-wise north of 2 billion euro. And we are currently working, this is not something that is on the slide, but we're currently working, of course, on further documents that on the one hand side present a vision of what we think the overall European sphere and ecosystem for advanced materials research and innovation should look like 2035. This is actually something that will come out within the next couple of weeks. And this then also will be the foundation, of course, for our further interest representation in Brussels, but also with the member states to achieve these major targets for the community. The reference point for EU 27 authorities, I can't stress it enough. I have done it already a number of times. The regions, the national level, absolutely important. We continue also to further build our network and build our alliances, if you so wish, across the industrial sectors and create common position with the sectors. So what are the advanced materials research and innovation needs of certain sectors? So we continue to grow this and continue to build this. Membership, I hope that also with today's webinar, we will see a growth in our membership. And as I already pointed out, we are now looking at the takeoff of our advanced materials, startups and scale-up activities. A couple of words around the Horizon Europe work program. So the work program 25, the calls have been closed already, as you know. If you are familiar with the work programs, you may have seen that between the work program 25 and 26, 27, in terms of the calls and how they were drafted, how the texts were drafted, you will already see a bit of a shift. The 25 topics were rather targeted, rather maybe some say even prescriptive, but they were rather targeted with a very sort of, clear and at times critics say also maybe too narrow description of the topics that actually were given to the community to apply to. There's a shift that you see in the work program 26-27. The topics are broader. The call texts are less descriptive, and you will, as a consequence of that, which also directly comes as a consequence of some recommendations that the expert group around the former Portuguese research minister Manuel Haito put together in his report, Align, Act and Accelerate. Very nice report that I actually recommend. So the topics being less prescriptive comes directly from recommendations out of this report. Leads to topics that are rather, maybe have rather broad titles when you look at them at first, such as, for example, new materials or advanced materials and production processes to reduce the dependencies on critical and strategic raw materials. And we do these also together now. A number of the calls we do together with other public-private partnerships. This is also an approach that the European Commission wants to introduce and has introduced already in preparation for the next framework program. In this case, it's Processes for Planets. We do have a call that focuses on the acceleration of discovery and development of chemicals and advanced materials through digitalization and artificial intelligence. You have seen that this is something that is very, very much also embedded into the DNA of IAM-I. This one has already closed. The next one, which we do together with Made in Europe, is around the circularity of advanced materials, so facilitating the transition from design to markets. It's a very holistic call, and here we have a second stage that actually closes in February of next year. We do have a call on energy input from renewable resources and energy management in the process industries. Here, advanced materials are absolute enablers of these kinds of processes and approaches. So we do it together with Processes for Planet. We do have a call that is going to focus on advanced materials for sensing functionalities. That one has already closed as well. And then there is one call that is even across the clusters, because here we cooperate with Cluster 5. And here we have next generation battery concepts and focusing especially on advanced materials. And we do that together with the Batteries for EU partnership. So these are the kinds of calls that are coming up, or that on the one hand side just recently have closed, but you see second stages for some of these calls that still are open. And here you can then accordingly apply until most of these cases, February, April, or even October of 2027. Build your consortia, of course, ideally via matchmaking at IAM-I events. And with that, I would like to just very quickly give you one more strategic view or one more strategic angle on what is coming up next. This is the strategic research and innovation agenda, or at least the outline of it, that our working groups and task forces currently are working towards for the next framework program. As I explained before, the calls that will come in the next framework program are going to be based on the contents of the strategic research innovation agenda. So this document is an absolute basis. And you do see that we have 4 basically big chapters. We put everything into context a bit, also geopolitically. We ask, why do we need actually to have advanced materials that are advancing Europe exactly now? Then we describe what we need, and here we go especially around everything that has to do with the ecosystem. So how do we accelerate the importance of research technology infrastructures, safety, sustainability, circularity, digitalization, AI, standards and norms, all of these ecosystem shaping parts. Then we're asking, what do we do this for? So these advanced materials basically are being developed to enable strategic technologies such as energy storage, strategic technologies such as new propulsion systems for mobility. Yeah, so strategic or advanced materials for new applications in the medical sector. So this is the what for. So we are focusing on certain examples that we then can prove these principles of acceleration with. And in the end, we do also, of course, look at what we need to have in terms of the overall ecosystem and the market uptake. Here we have skills and education, the special position of SMEs, etc., etc. So you will see also the next strategic research and innovation agenda is not moving away from having this holistic ecosystem view that really also is giving the home to the overall European advanced materials community. And with that, I hope I stayed more or less in time. I'm coming to the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Eva. It was really interesting. I have few questions even for you, but I will keep them to the end of the session so we can continue with Susanna. I see that there are 1 or 2 questions on the questions and answer chat. We will go through them at the end of the session again. Susanna, now let's see what is happening in Navarra. Navarra, we have the functional print cluster led by Susana Barasoin that is here with us. She's also, or they are also working on advanced material fields, not on every area of the advanced materials, but on some specific focused. So I'm going to give the floor to Susanna, who will give us a briefing on what is happening and what is going on, and to see if we are in line also with the European priorities. Susanna, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Angela. Can you hear me? Okay?
It's
fine?
Perfect.
Yes? Okay, thank you. So thank you so much, Angela, for the invitation, and Eva for the detailed overview and activities and calls. I can see that we are really aligned in our activities. And thank you, Aditec, for the invitation. Thank you for your proactivity in Europe. I think is really good. So my name is Susana Barasoin, and I represent the functional and additive printing ecosystem based in Navarra with regional, national, and European impact. And from the field of printed electronics and functional printing, we focus on how these materials, new materials, become real industrial products. So how does functional printing connect with the advanced materials ecosystem? We work exactly at this point. We use printing and deposition technologies as manufacturing tools to integrate functionality into devices, replacing conventional materials with advanced materials such as functional, inks, all kind of inks, adhesive, coatings, conductive inks, resistive, different inks and materials. Through the integration, design, and hybridization of printed electronics, we produce a new generation of lighter, smarter, and more sustainable products. We work across the full value chain, exactly the same as the advanced partenariat in Europe, from the advanced materials to the final application, from the knowledge, from the universities, from the academia, to the integration, to the final integration, to the products and the industrial sectors. We try to cover the entire value chain through the use of functional materials and advanced printing and the integration technologies especially. These technologies are enabled by advanced functional materials, including the formulation, the development, and the validation of, for example, conductive dielectrics, encapsulation inks, active and functional inks, or different advanced materials, really specific. So they allow to produce sensor, electronics, and functionality directly into the products. We are talking about producing technologies really aligned with the associated technologies listed before by Eva in her slides. We produce in-mold electronics, printed sensors, antennas, biosensors, lab-on-chip, printed electrodes, a new structural combination like the compositronic, textronics, the in-mold electronics that I said, and the 3D structural electronics. If you need more information about our technologies, about the manufacturing of these technologies, we can talk later. I'm not going deep into the manufacturing because I am not an expert, but I can put you in contact with different experts in the region. And as important, the hybridization with the more conventional electronic is the key for our technology. All these technologies only make sense when they reach real application and markets. For this reason, we work organizing also working groups by sectors or ecosystem and markets, led normally by technology centers, where we analyze trends, challenges, and specific needs of each sector and translate them into the technological opportunities. Only by understanding the industrial needs, the challenges, and interacting with the key actors can generate innovative value propositions based on the advanced materials and the technologies, and especially build trusted innovation ecosystem. We need to build trusted and good ecosystem of innovation. So the challenge for us is not only to develop new materials, new technologies, but the challenge and our goal is to integrate them into the industry and the market. So we identify also the different challenges really strongly aligned with the European priorities. The industrial challenges as the scaling from lab to the industrial production, the integration into the existing manufacturing processes, the durability, the sustainability, the circularity, also the cost versus performance, always. Then also the skill-related challenges, such as the lack of qualified profiles and the limited awareness of the technology in the industry and the different adoptions. And also challenges aligned with the standardization, the regulation, and the patents, especially in Europe, the intellectual property, actually. So we try to work in collaboration to address these challenges by connecting with the industrial demand, as I said. So we work defining roadmaps with the different ecosystem, for example, the automotive ecosystem, the rail Spanish ecosystem, the packaging ecosystem, or for example, the electronic, the more traditional electronic ecosystem. And you can see here one workshop that we are organizing, this one in Barcelona, always in collaboration. And we also work in the lack of skill profiles in advanced materials and functional printing through training programs, technology dissemination activities, and especially the launch of a 600 hours specialized program in collaboration with Salesianos, a vocational training center here in Navarra, in Pamplona, thanks to an Erasmus project in collaboration with different European regions. We also support industries in their transformation. That is really important towards the adoption of these technologies in the value chain. A clear example here in Navarra is Envega, a SME from Navarra, which has evolved from manufacturing more traditional components to developing advanced solutions in healthcare, in mobility, and has positioned itself as a tier 2 supplier in printed electronics for the automotive sector. So that is really important in the region. Finally, collaboration is a key, as Eva also said, especially in Europe. We work actively connecting with European stakeholders, participating in initiatives, projects, partnerships, and trying to highlight our technologies in the European agendas. For example, in collaboration with Zavala, we organize different webinars. We support the dissemination of the Horizon Europe opportunities related to the printed electronics, and we send monthly a special newsletter focused on EU calls and opportunity. In addition, it's really important to work closely with the public administration, especially ADITEC, the Navarra government, and also the Spanish Ministry of Science and CEDETI on working on those calls. And I can say and confirm that initiatives, it's the one that we have listened to today, the IAM-I initiative in Europe, is a key role in connecting technological capabilities with real industrial needs and to strengthen the manufacturing industries in Europe. That is the final goal for us. But in the end, materials, technology, industry only work in there with people. So people who connect knowledge, industry, skills, because ecosystems are not built only by technology, and industry are built by people. So for us, it's really important to organize spaces where people connect across the value chain. This is the main activities that we organize during the year. And for example, this event that we are organizing in Bilbao, from design to market, really align with the calls that we have seen just now. And we are organizing this with many partners from this cluster and from this partner in Europe. And well, we invite all of you to this organization and workshop. And that's it. Only through collaboration and across the ecosystem can we turn innovation and R&D into real European industrial impact and manufacturing application. So that's it. If you need any more information, I have added all the projects, partners, agenda in the presentation, and I am open to any question or I don't know. It was a short presentation, but I don't have much more time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susana. I think we are going, I don't know, Eva, what do you think? But I think we are going on the good direction in Navarra. I see like a good match between what Susana was mentioning on the areas that we are working and also connected to the priorities that you presented on this RIA. So I think we are going on the good direction. I do have 2 questions, but I'm going to ask my colleague Ignacio first to see if there are any questions before I address mine. I don't know if Ignacio is there around, my colleague who is working with me. Also, I would like to say that you can raise your hand and my colleagues from the communication department will allow you to step in and to talk directly with your camera and mic.
Okay, yes. Can you hear me, Angela?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, good morning, everyone. Thank you for this webinar, the organizers, Silvia, Eva, Susana, Angela, once again. Thank you. So I will be reading the only question that I can read right now in the questions and answers, which is from Viviana Garcia. And Viviana wants to ask if ADITEC is a part of the partnership Does that mean that we as SINAI agents are automatically considered partners? I think, Angela, this question is right for you.
Okay, I will take it indeed. So basically, right now we are not part of the Advanced Material Initiative network, let's call it like that, or association. We are considering it. You know, as Eva was saying, that it was launched last year, so it's quite new, the partnership. Indeed, in the agreement that we have with the government, with the external action, we have agreed to be members or part of several European associations. Right now we are members of 6 European associations. We have the AI Data and Robotic Associations. We have the European Manufacturing Association, batteries. Well, we have 6 European associations. EIM is not part of them, but as I said, we started to get in touch with Eva. We are starting to get to know each other and to see where are the interests of Navarra in this field to take the decision of being part of not. That's one thing that I wanted to say. The second thing, yes, of course, we are part of these European associations to represent the interest of Navarra. And of course, all the research and innovation agents from our ecosystem could benefit from this information that we get from the partnerships. We are disseminating the information from the European associations, the ones that we are members of, on our website, on our, well, we are preparing some reports that we are disseminating to all of our database. But again, we encourage everyone in Navarra, not only our stakeholders, SINAI agents, but also the private sector, the industry, to become members of the European Association, and to become members of the partnerships, because at the end, you are the experts on the fields. You are the ones who could fight for your interest inside the European associations and inside the working groups. We as Aditec, we participate being more the institutional representation and bringing you all the information that we could provide. We participate on the general assemblies, on the working groups, on the events in order to expand our network, that we can offer you that network, to you. But it's true that I encourage you to get involved in those partnerships and to put there on the working groups that Eva was mentioning on sectorial basis, what are your interests, on what you are working on, so you can have your own interests and topics reflected in the calls that are coming in the upcoming years. I don't know if I answered the question, but yes, of course you can. You are part, and you can benefit from the membership that we are paying on these European associations. But still, I encourage everyone, each entity, to become member themselves of these European associations. I don't know if you have, Eva, any comments on that. In line with that, I also have a question, because I know that the academia, the research centers, the technological centers, and the universities, they are really aware about what is a European association and what are the partnerships from Horizon Europe. But thinking more about the startups or the SMEs, do you really recommend them, or how can they benefit from being part of your association?
Yeah, thank you very much, Angela. And I already hinted at that, of course, also in the presentation. So you see that we are very much aware that startups and scale-ups are an absolutely crucial pillar and cornerstone, actually, for the overall innovation ecosystem, if you so wish, in Europe. Not to stress that word too much. I think what the startups and scale-ups can benefit from the most really is not necessarily sort of the one-on-one dedicated funding that you may see more in the European Innovation Council, to be very clear. However, of course, startups and scale-ups are very much also welcome to participate in these collaborative topics and talks. But I think what you really can benefit from is to be the EIC, if you so wish, or answering to EIC calls, does not provide you with the ecosystem and the community that you actually see when you become the member of an association behind a public-private partnership. So here you have access to the working groups. That is one thing, because I know that startups quite frequently are also not that rich in resources. But what you do have is you will have our full support with all of our webinar and event series that we're starting right now. So there will be monthly pitching sessions. There will be at least once a year, if not more often, dedicated events, also pitching events, networking events for our members. We already, and this is a very nice thing, due to the fact that we also have, for example, bigger industries and networks with us, or our own networks, I can tell you that for the first webinar pitching session, we already will be looking at 3 corporate venture capital departments from our larger industry members that will participate. In addition to that, we bring external venture capital partners with us. So it's not, it's really you're pitching for a purpose, or you're taking part for a purpose. On top of that, of course, if you're interested also in shaping a bit of a future here in Europe, and I know that startups are very much focused on, first of all, you know, getting your products to the market, getting the funding, getting all of that going. But if you're also interested a bit in shaping conditions and shaping good conditions for yourself and your peers here in Europe, we definitely also do the advocacy for you at the European level. We connect you to the European level. The European level has put a very high focus on startup and scale-up strategy that was published recently. But I would say the main thing really is get the visibility, get the connections, feed all of your needs and concerns into the right channels at the policy level as well.
Thank you, Eva. If we have any potential company here, or if one startup or SME watch this webinar afterwards and is willing to know if they fit into your association or into the, for example, if we have like a health manufacturing products startup from Navarra that is willing to get involved into your association, or that maybe they don't know if they fit into the health working group, can they contact you to check if they fit, if not, if they have any doubts about, okay, maybe they have products, innovative products, and maybe they are willing to know if they fit into the working group or not? Can they contact you to check that?
At any time, of course, I am absolutely open to interact and to also present certain aspects that maybe, you know, we were not able to present or talk about here in the webinar. So I'd be happy for anybody to reach out that has an interest in IAM-I. That does not only go for startups. I mean,
indeed.
Yes, we're really still also getting to know the community ourselves. So please feel free to contact us. Have a look at our webpage. Feel free to contact us.
And for the last question, for the monthly pitching session, startup series, no, you call them, that you will organize on a monthly basis, will them be online, Eva?
Yes. So these are online events. This is a like 1 hour slot. We will start the first test balloon on the 22nd of May. For now, it is in terms of audience participating, it is limited to IAM-I members.
Okay.
Because it's a test balloon that we're floating. The startups pitching right now, we do have 4 spots for members and 1 spot for a non-member. We have plans of opening up everything in the future, of course, also to non-members, but we need to get it off the ground now first, and then we will proceed with it.
So from our side, for sure, for all the startups, we will disseminate. Once you organize the non-members pitching, we will also, it will be on us disseminating this. I guess it will be a call or an online registration. So we will be in charge of disseminating that through our network as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So I don't know if there is any other question. I don't think so. So I think, well, thanks a lot to all our panelists today, Silvia, Eva, Susana, and of course to all the participants here and the ones who will watch this webinar afterwards. We hope you have now a clear overview of this new partnership that was launched at the end of last year, and you follow carefully their own topics and upcoming calls. If you have any questions about this, you can always contact Functional Print. You have seen that they have an agreement also with Zabala. Zabala is leading one of the working groups from the Advanced Material Initiative. So either you contact Functional Print, you contact us, Aditec, we are here to help. And of course, as Eva said, they are there to answer all your questions. So I do hope that we have more of our entities involved in your partnership, Eva. I hope we have more entities, research centers, technological centers, or our private entities more involved on your partnership. And last but not least, kind reminder, this is more on us. We will organize our annual event in Pamplona at the end of the year, where we try to bring Europe to Navarra. We will disseminate all the information as soon as we fix the date. And the second activity that we are organizing under the Horizonte Redes initiative is the trade mission, that we will organize it also in autumn at the end of the year, most probably October, November, December. We will let you know as well more information about it. You will have Europa Más Cerca are the governmental help for the startups or private entities to benefit, so they could cover also this trip to Brussels. We will share all this information with you. And so that's what I can say for now. Thank you so much. Wishing you a very nice day and see you next time. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here with us and all the participants.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.